This is the Drift Logic Podcast, bringing you the drivers, their builds, and the raw behind-the-scenes action of drifting in the Pacific Northwest.
This would be good.
Cheers. Let's cheers in the morning.
Cheers, man.
Yesterday was sick.
Yesterday was sick.
Drift Logic is brought to you by the BCDA and SpecD. All right. See what I did there? That was good. Welcome to the Drift Logic Podcast. My name is Darren, and I will be your host. If you're wondering what Drift Logic is and who the hell I am, well, we're about to go over that right now. So just hang out, sit down, grab a cup of joe. It's no question that the Pacific Northwest has one of the best drifting communities, if not the best in this country. We're going to be sitting down with everyone that makes this community what it is. I'm talking the OGs, the newcomers, the media guys, your start line guy, and the businesses that help out the drifting community in all the ways that they do. Just so everybody can see the people that truly make this community what it is, because that's what drifting's all about, man. It's easy to see that the Pacific Northwest breeds really good drivers. We've got winter, but it doesn't ever get below freezing. There's no snow down here, which means no salt, so our cars aren't rust buckets. We're placed between Portland all the way to Vancouver, British Columbia, and Seattle. That's three major cities that are so close to each other. It just blends a really awesome community. We've got driving in the wet, we've got driving in the dry. Summers don't even get that warm, and winters don't get that cold. So the year-round driving and just the climate that we are in just gives us the most amount of seat time all year round, and we have so many awesome tracks, and it's awesome here. Seat time's important. Everybody knows that, but how much available seat time can you get? And here in the Pacific Northwest, within the next 70 months, I think I've counted up to 70, a little bit over 70 open drift days within like a 4-hour radius. That's insane. If you live somewhere central enough, you're only driving 4 hours to at least 4 different tracks. But honestly, like 70 open drift available days, that doesn't even count the special events. That doesn't account for the competition days with practice days and everything. Like, there's more seat time here than you can actually handle or even get to or even drive to in time from one to the other. So it's pretty sick for how many awesome tracks we have here and all the seat time that's available here. With all that available seat time, there's going to be some competition, right? People want to prove that their seat time's paying off. We also have like 6 different competition series. I mean, Final Bout is here. There are open drift schools you can go to, and then there's unlimited open drifts. And then you can get into a street class competition in Canada. Then you can get into a grassroots class. And then you can get into a Pro-Am class where you can earn your license to Formula Drift. And then you can go to Formula Drift. And we even have a stop for Formula Drift in Seattle. We've got it all here. It's crazy. So I got a chance to sit down with Jordan, the man himself, from the BCDA and SpecD, to talk a little bit about what they got going on in Canada, what they offer, and just a little bit more of a deep dive on the Street Roots series that they do, because I don't think a lot of people have that. Most competitions just start at grassroots, so this was a stepping stone even lower than grassroots, just for people that want to get into it. Because, I mean, let's face it, there's so many grassroots events that you hear people complain, like, we want a tire rule. People show up with dog boxes and quick changes, and they're 700 horsepower, and it's more pro roots than it is grassroots. And what Canada did, and what Jordan did in Canada, was create this series where it's like, okay, it's a 225 tire, and your car's basically got to be like pretty well stocked. You can have knuckle adapters, but you can't have like motor swaps and big tunes and all this other stuff. So it keeps it a pretty level playing field, which I think is sick. And even the grassroots series in Canada limits you to a 235 tire, 300 tread wear, and you can't have a quick change, dog box, all that other stuff. So they're equaling the playing field, so it's more comfortable for people to step into competition. Because I get asked all the time, they're like, oh, like when you go to comp, like, are you afraid to get put up against one of the 700 horsepower JZ? And I'm like, Yeah, it is what it is, but it is what it is doesn't have to be like that anymore, because Jordan exists in Canada and his series are a lot of fun, and there's these limitations that make it more comfortable for people that haven't been competing and drifting get into competing and drifting. So let's go sit down with Jordan at Mission Raceway and talk a little bit about who Jordan is, the BCDA, SpecD, and a little deep dive on what the Street Route Series is.
What? We want Tim Hortons as a sponsor, don't we?
We do, actually. I've been pushing it. So yeah, this would be
Cheers.
good.
Let's cheers in the morning.
Cheers, man.
Yesterday was sick.
Yesterday was sick.
All right, so yeah, we're here with Jordan. We just finished day one of a 2-day here at Mission Raceway with the BCDA. We're just going to talk a little bit about who Jordan is, I guess, when drifting started for you. Where did the BCDA, this is great for me, I don't even know where the BCDA even started or how it started or who it started with, if it was you and everything. But yeah, I would just love a little backstory on like who Jordan is, who the BCDA is, and how this all became this.
Cool. Yeah, no, I'm happy to talk about that. So drifting for me started back in, just after graduation. So 2010, of course, you know, everybody wanted their sweet road car, and I got that, but quickly learned drifting wasn't meant to do on the street. So, you know, finding track space to do it was always a struggle. Fortunately for us back then, in roughly 2010, we had Drift Union that put on local drift events up in Penticton. However, it wasn't too local to us.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
You know,
How far of a drive is that?
it was about 4 hours from where I live here in Mission. So,
Yeah.
yeah, you know, that was a regular thing. 1 to 2 times a month we would go out there for the 7-month season.
Sick. Nice.
Yeah, so that's kind of where drifting all started for me.
Yeah.
2018, 2019 rolled around. Drifting at Mission Raceway was not a thing. We had the occasional event at Agassiz Speedway. However, that was just an oval track.
Yeah.
So, you know, having a circuit track to drive on is obviously optimal for us.
Yeah.
And best learning curve. So making that jump with Mission Raceway was tough, but you know, we did it, and we got drifting going at Mission Raceway, and from there it's just rapidly grown. That's kind of where BCDA started back in 2019. So it's Bold Connections Drift Alliance, and yeah.
Do people know what it used to be called and why it changed?
So it used to be called British Columbia Drift Association because it was obviously, you know, basically a volunteer program. We just all did it for the joy of it. Of course, that's still what it is. It's all in fun and to keep it fun. It's just evolved so much now. Rapidly growing community, rapidly growing cars, level of cars, drivers. It's all grown. Yeah, that's kind of how it came about.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah, I was just curious. I was like, man, I remember it being like British Columbia like Drift Association, then it changed to like Bold Connections, and then naming things after British Columbia is probably a difficult thing. Yeah, they're just like, what are you? I was always curious. I was like, I remember it switching because like 3 years ago I showed up and it was, you know, British Columbia whatever, and then it switched and I was like, I was like, I just can't ever remember why it switched, but I was like, I know it switched for a reason. But yeah, so that's cool. It worked out really well because you didn't have to like change the logo or anything. Like
that was
the BCDA. It's just like it's so good.
That was the goal with it. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, keep the acronym right.
Sick. Yeah, so within the BCDA, there is Street Routes, which is that's got to be like new. I don't know many people that do that. So there's Street Routes. We're talking like very street cars, like maybe just little knuckle adapters, like no big full angle kits, no big tunes, just a ton of like just very basic stock interior cars. And then we've got Grassroots, which is pretty standard. The Grassroots series up here is a 235 tire, which is great. Everyone asks for that everywhere else in the country, and they don't get it. We get that here, so we have a tire limitation. And then SpecD is the Pro series. Tell me a little bit, like just kind of run me through like your idea of Street Route series, Grassroots series, and then the SpecD
the competition
Pro-Am stuff. Yeah, just the structure of it.
Going back to where drifting all started and whatnot, we didn't have too much of a competition series and structure or rule sanction body even. So with all that came the development of the series. We first started with our Grassroots series. and that just rapidly grew out of control over the first 2 years of us doing it. So, you know, we ended up with like a 50 car field. Obviously, that didn't continue round after round. We would average probably, you know, 18 to 28 cars, I'd say, per event, but a driver field of 50 cars, roughly. And the level of cars drastically grew very quickly. So a lot of V8 swaps, a lot of 2J swaps, just more power upgrades, aftermarket ECUs. So with that, you know, we had to find a balance in that. So that is where we found the Street Route series, and that's new as of 2025. We did our first full season. So Street Routes was kind of meant to be the feeder series to Grassroots because of the rapid evolving car field and driver skill. So we needed more stepping stones for the drivers to make their way to the SpecD, which is our pro series here in Western Canada. And we are the only license holders for Formula Drift. So each year we give away a pro spec license for those of you that don't know. And last year our winner was Matt Rushetsky. And this year he's making his way on down to pro spec to go attend the big show, which is super exciting for us all to see. So
nice. We're super excited for that. I know one of the things I get asked all the time is like, down other grassroots events, you've got like, oh, there's all the pro cars that show up and this and that, and like there's no limitations on like dog boxes and quick changes and all this other stuff. So it's great to see that limitation here where it's like, okay, like, you know, there could be a V8 swap, but it's not going to be like super built, because everyone always, every time I post anything about competition, like, oh, I kind of want to get into it, but like, I don't know, man, there's all these guys. I'm like, dude, Street Routes, BCDA. I'm like, you literally cannot get any more stepping stone as that. I'm like, it's so perfect. I was just like, if your car isn't like, you know, extremely built, you can go, and it's all the people that are like, I kind of want to just compete, because open drift is fun and tandeming like here at the track is fun, but until you're like, oh, that guy, I need to like, you know, be pretty close to this guy, and like, oh, I actually have to hit this box, you know, like even just trying to get in the zones and seeing like, oh, was I in or out of the zone? Like changes your driving so much. Like yesterday I was driving and I was like, I wish there were zones painted out here. Because I was just like, it really helps you, like, because when you're just out driving with the homies, like you don't necessarily care where you're going.
Yeah,
you
it's
know?
the bro line, the wide line. The fun line.
But when you got a zone there, you're like, oh, did I get it? Like it's just, there's something fun about it. I don't know, man. Like, so a bunch of people always ask me, they're like, I want to get into it, but I don't want to show up and get, you know, sent home by someone in a 700 horsepower JZ with a dog box. And I'm like, dude, Street Routes Canada, like get your enhanced license and just go to Canada. Grassroots is pretty, you know,
pretty
235 tire. That's a pretty standard. But let's talk just a little bit about the Street Routes, because
because for Grassroots it's pretty open. Power range we don't really cap, right? So it's limited by tire size. So Street Routes limiting it by basically build level of car. So, and engine swaps is a big thing. So we've completely eliminated V8 swaps. No V8 swaps. If it's a US DM car that comes with a small block, like say
SC300 or something.
Or like a 95 Ford, like Mustang. Then we allow it if it comes stock with the V8. And then also we have some interior rules. But this year we are going to be making it a little bit more lenient on the build level, just to get more cars in. We probably still will restrict motor swaps to a level and power modifications to a level, just to keep the speeds and whatnot down and keep the driving level even. I feel like there were some people last year that they were like, I don't have a shift boost required, and it was like, well, okay, we just like, you know, it's there to like, you know, we want to see like a full kind of stock interior. It's like, you know, but so things like that. That we'll loosen up a little bit on. Just we want to make this accessible, and that's the main goal here, keeping it fun. We don't want people to be discouraged to come and feel like they're going to be turned away. So
it's a 6 series, man. It's literally just like everyone's on a stock car, everyone, like no one's overbuilt, and everyone's like, just like, I've never gone head to head against anyone, and there's like a few people that have, and it's like, it was the most fun last year. I was just like, it was just another day like driving with the homies, but just being a little more focused on like how you're driving, you know, like it's such a good like step into competition without jumping straight in and possibly getting put against, you know, someone with a built car. So
right, and that's the whole idea with it, stepping stones, building up the comfort level of the drivers. Of course, with the Street Routes we do like a bro down qualifying, so you're judged for qualifying through your practice. So
Yeah.
you kind of get placed based on how you're performing.
Yeah.
It's not
You don't have that
not
like one
scored.
qualifying run, do
Yeah.
it or go home. Yeah,
Exactly.
with a low score.
So it's it's a little bit more lenient, just a little bit more driver friendly.
Right. Yeah.
You know, and
That's sick.
that's the main goal with it.
Cool.
Okay. Well.
Yeah, sick. Yeah, fire away. We'll just talk about street route schedule, and then we'll do grassroots schedule, and then SpecD schedule.
So April 18th is our first round of the grassroots, and all the dates here are tentatively right now
Right.
at Agassiz Speedway for grassroots and street routes.
Sweet.
So April 18th, grassroots round 1. May 24th will be SR round 1. July 26th, grassroots round 2. August 9th, SR round 2. September 19th, grassroots round 3. October 17th, SR round 3. And then our 4th round of grassroots will be November 7th.
Awesome. Sick.
So-
And then SpecD, we've got, there's 2 events on kind of this side of Canada and 2 events central? Or is it
It's
technically
BC and
central?
Alberta, yeah.
Oh, okay. Alberta.
And then
Okay, yeah.
at Stratotech
Nice.
Raceway Park.
Yeah. And the 2 events that are British Columbia, is it Agassiz Mission?
Yes.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah, so
Nice.
round 3, Agassiz Speedway, and
Yeah.
round 4,
Sick.
final fight, Mission Raceway.
All right, so that is like the most exciting event to show up to, like, even as a driver or a spectator, to like see the pro cars. And when I first moved here, it was just Mission, and I was just like, oh, I only get 1. I'm like, I should travel to the other 3. I'm like, now that there's 2 like closer to this area,
Yeah.
I'm like, it's great.
It's
like,
nice.
Yeah, it's so sick watching those.
And
guys
of course,
drive.
with the Pro Series here, we did add a 4th round. It used to only be three rounds. So
Oh, nice.
yeah, the 4th round is Stratotech, which
sick.
will be new to the circuit this year. I don't think they've ran there probably in 5 or 6 years.
Holy smokes.
Yeah, it's been a while.
That's
so.
sick.
Yeah.
Nice. Because it was Rad.
Yeah, Rad
and
Torque
then
Raceway.
Agassiz and Mission. So now you have Stratotech. Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. That's sick.
And actually, before that, it actually used to be a doubleheader here.
Oh yeah, that's
and
right.
Rad Torque
yes,
Raceway.
Yeah. I remember
So
it
just
being
the
like
2
a
tracks.
Saturday, a Sunday,
Yeah.
and just you gotta go, man.
Yeah.
Like it was a lot. It was a big weekend, man.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it was crazy.
Sheesh, it's brisk.
Not sponsored by Tim Hortons yet.
Not yet.
Is that a sponsor we want? Is that
It's something we're working on, yeah, for sure.
bring us coffee and donuts at the start of every event for the staff? You know. I grew up in Buffalo, so I was like an hour from the border of Canada.
Yeah.
So it's funny to move from like the East Coast an hour from the border to here in Bellingham an hour from the border and still have like Tim Hortons accessible.
So
Sick.
2026 Pro-Am calendar. It's already posted up on socials, all the platforms. But round 1 is going to be May 16th at Rad Torque Raceway in Edmonton. So that's our opener. Round 2, June 27th, Stratotech Park. Round 3, July 11th, Agassiz Speedway. And round 4th, August 30th at Mission Raceway.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So those will be all the main competition days. It'll all be live streamed across our platforms.
Yeah. It's awesome that grassroots is live stream because I think like that's such a crazy thing to have at a grassroots event. Like it's insane. I have family members back home that are like, when's the live stream? Like, how do I like get on this? I'm like, this is sick. I'm like, they can watch me like with not being there, you know, or like, yeah, it's super
Keeps
cool.
everybody
like,
connected and
Yeah.
involved, right?
yeah, even when
the
I
people that
don't
can't.
show up to the event, I can just sit home on my couch and I'm just like scrolling and like watching it. And I'm like, I'm watching where I normally am driving, and I'm only an hour away, but I can still like be there, you know?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it's super cool.
There you have it. That's a little bit of a deep dive into Jordan, the BCDA, SpecD, and some of the street route stuff, with even some cool vintage photos from when drifting first started at Mission Raceway. I'm excited to bring these podcasts just to other people's garages to kind of see what they have going on and give you guys a little insight on who the people are, what they're up to, what they've been up to, and how they got into all of this drifting madness that we're all obsessed with. While we're here learning about what Drift Logic is and who all these people are, I figured I'd give you guys a little insight on who I am and how I got here and what I'm doing. So drifting for me started probably 12 to 13 years ago at a small track, Shangri-La, something number 2, out in the middle of Pennsylvania in the woods. And it was like a 4-hour drive from my house. I showed up in a Honda Civic coupe with a like P40 Warhawk paint job on it. And I showed up to take photos because I was into photography in high school at the time. And I was like, all right, I love cars. I've always grown up around cars, but I've never been to a drift event. So that was like one of my first drift events. And that's where I started taking photos. And that's where my media like really kicked off. I probably took more photos than I should have and was pumping out albums and meeting all the drivers, and just getting photos out there to the drivers felt so sick to show up to an event. And even though I can't drive, I can still be out there and like do something for them. So it was really cool. I went to that track like a handful of times throughout like a summer. I went to like 3 of their events, and then it quickly got shut down. After that little spark of showing up to IFD in the middle of Pennsylvania was just so sick to me. I was like, this is awesome. I want to get into this more. I met a ton of the guys through there. And we continued to do photography of their cars and stuff like that, just like throughout the years. So I spent a few years in the drifting community in Buffalo, New York, doing photos, going to events. We tried to get events started with underneath Buffalo drift culture at Holland Speedway. Once the Shane Reloth thing ended, that kind of picked up, and then that went away after only a few events. It was cool. It's just an oval track. There was nothing on the inside, so it was just manji the straight, hit the oval, go back. There wasn't much happening. We had like a battle at the border in Buffalo, I think like once or twice. And then finally they ended up at Lake Erie Speedway. So Lake Erie Speedway happened as I moved out to Colorado, and Lake Erie Speedway is still a thing now with Drift PA, Ohio, New York, Pahoney. I wonder if you just say Drift Pahoney. But yeah, so it's PA, Ohio, New York. Those guys are awesome. They put on great events. After I got into drifting, I was living in Buffalo, and then I decided to move to Colorado. Didn't go to any drift events out there. Can't speak much for the community out there. I was way out in the mountains just doing the snowboard thing at the time. Then I ended up moving to Salt Lake. Salt Lake is where I got into autocross, and I was watching drifting still, but just more of an autocross guy. That was when I first got my Z like 10 years ago. So the 350Z was the first chassis I got into, and I thought drifting was going to harm the car too much, so I just did autocross for a few years. After that, moved to Vermont. I spent some time in Vermont. While I was in Vermont, still doing the automotive photography thing, and that's where I started going to Club Loose North events down in New Hampshire. It's like a 3-hour drive, but it was worth it. It's a big open lot, a bunch of cool dudes out there. And I went out a few times for a few events, and then Vermont was kind of hard to find any sort of drift events other than Club Loose North. So I was basically just going to car shows in the Z and making that thing look as nice as possible. I had a pretty big life change in Vermont that gave me the opportunity of where do you want to go and where do you want to live? And I think in all my years of traveling, Colorado, Utah, Vermont, I was really having my eye on the Pacific Northwest. It was always Portland and bikes and all this other fun stuff in the cars and like, you know, the weather and the climate. So now was my chance. You know, I thought about Arizona, I thought about North Carolina, I thought about anywhere, and then all roads just kind of pointed to the Pacific Northwest. So I landed here probably 4 years ago now, and immediately dumped a bunch of money into the Z, put it on 3-piece, Koenigs, air ride, the whole thing, started going to all these stand shows, winning a bunch of awards. It was super cool. And then I started going to the drift events, and I'm still into automotive photography, so I'm taking photos at all these drift events and just realizing how many there were. And I was just every single weekend I was at a drift event, and I was like, my God, I was like, there's so much drifting happening here. I can go once a weekend and drive a car, and sometimes it's a Saturday, Sunday event. So I decided I was going to sell my moto and get into a drift car, and that's where I picked up my 08 350Z, which I'm currently still driving. Sold the moto, picked up the 08Z, and I was like, I'm just gonna keep both of them. I had the silver Nissan Frontier, I had the silver stance car, and then I had the silver drift car, and I was like, this looks cool, I'm gonna keep both of these. I quickly realized that going to a drift event and the time spent and the money spent getting ready for a drift event, going into a drift event, and what you get out of it was 15 times more than sitting at a car show. I mean, I was sitting behind my car for 9 hours at a show in this camp chair, just staring at my phone. Like, I was still meeting cool people and like we were hanging out, but a lot of it was just sitting here doing nothing, looking at each other, looking at our cars. And like, even though I was winning awards, there was no sense of like, there was just something missing from it. And then the minute I started drifting, I was just like, every last little dime I can put into this car goes kind of a long way with drifting. I'm like, you update this one little part, just going from negative camber in the rear to 0. You're just like, oh my God, that changed everything. That feels so much better. And there's just like all of this like instant gratification from drifting. At the end of the day, it felt like, if I'm going to spend 9 hours doing something, then drifting all day at the track and coming home afterwards was a lot better than going to a car show, sitting behind my car for 9 hours, and then just going home being like, yeah, I won an award. I just sat in a chair for 9 hours and just kind of rotted there. So drifting very quickly took over my life, honestly, everything, all day, every day. That's all that happens around me right now. So that was 2.5 years ago in October, and I just started driving. I went to every single opening drift. I think I averaged probably 4 events a month for 2 years straight until this last October when I decided to start building the car. I was just slowly adding things to the car and slowly getting into it. The first year I was just driving. At the end of that first year, I did like 1 or 2 competitions just to see what it was like, and I was instantly hooked. So then my second year of driving, I was like, I'm going to do a full season of competitions. So I decided to do street routes in Canada, grassroots in Canada. I decided to do grassroots at Evergreen, and then I even threw myself into one of the DriftCon events. So it was like 4 different series. I was like, I'm just going to throw myself in and do it and just see how it goes. I quickly fell in love with competition and building a program. But just even the way a competition works and the feeling you get when you do win or when you get that one more time felt really sick. So honestly, like, competition just took over the whole summer, and I was still going to every open drift I could, and I quickly burnt through just all of my money just doing all of that and driving as much as I possibly could. And then this last October, I decided it was time to step up the car. I mean, I got 7th place in Evergreen Grassroots for my first season competing ever, and only 2 years of driving. So that was super cool. And that was like kind of a big push to see the results. I was like, okay, if I can land in the top 10 for season's points in my first year of competing and only my second year of driving, I'm like, maybe there's something here. Yeah, that's a little bit about me and who I am and how I got here. So I've been a part of drifting communities all across the country for the better of 12 years now, through automotive photography, and I still do automotive photography, but really focusing on competing and just having a good time with the homies at the events. Started a little team called Gridlock. It was just kind of a funny joke because every time we went out and drove together, we just spin out, and then grid was locked up because everyone's like, oh, now they got to pull these guys off the track because they all crashed into each other. Don't let that think that we don't still crash into each other, because we definitely do. So you got to learn a little bit about Drift Logic, what we're going to be covering. You got to learn a little bit about Jordan, who runs the BCDA and SpecD, and we got to learn a little bit about myself and who I am. I'm really excited to bring you guys along to meet all these other people in the community, because this community is awesome. The people are great. The events are awesome. All of the tracks are great. And what we have here is something that's truly, really special. And I just want to showcase that through the people that make it special. So I hope you enjoyed the first episode of Drift Logic. I'm your host, Darren. Catch you next time.